Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Jug Show. So, today we're going to be talking about what was probably one of the biggest books all week, and that is Storm Issue 5. This is the absolute reveal of the Eternal Storm and give us a better idea of what it is. And I have to tell you, this book is a massive testament to the grand scale writing skills of Murewa Ayodele. What actually made this book as it's definitely not a complex book. It wasn't it's not one that had many layers of complexity. It was definitely layered about the meaning behind everything. There was a lot of emotion. There was a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? There was a lot of weight to it. Storm was very uninvolved in this. The actual Storm is very uninvolved in this book. And that is actually the biggest plot twist. So, from the beginning, since issue 1, we've known that the Eternal Storm was coming and we were going to be facing Oblivion. But here's where the twist is. From day 1, when Murewa revealed that she was going to be battling Oblivion, when he revealed the Eternal Storm, issue 1, talking about how Storm and her connection to Eternity was going to be explored, and was referencing the Fantastic Four issue written by Dwayne McDuffie when Doctor Strange put Eternity, put the consciousness of Eternity inside Storm. And that was a big part of the story, and that's the biggest part. This is one of his bigger references. So we know there was going to be something big about Storm and her connection to Eternity, and it's going to lead to an evolution and ascension of who her character is and her connection to the grander cosmos. But what we all also assumed was that this was going to be a beautiful, benevolent ascension. Then Murewa went full on out of left field. This is where I really find the difference between Storm written by Murewa and Storm written by Ewing. The reason why I want to compare these two so much when I'm actually talking about Storm is because they both did something similar, as in explaining Storm's power and her connection to grander concepts. But they're taking it in very different routes. And when it came to Ewing, he was definitely doing it in a benevolent manner. He was showing Storm's power. He was showing Storm's as the goddess, doing so much with her power, but I felt like he wasn't doing much more than that. So Murewa comes in. I felt like on some level we might be doing something similar, but we're not. He's not just talking about her being this powerful, but he's also talking about how being this powerful can have an effect on her. This is a pure Storm book because we are not just talking about singular aspects of her. We're not looking at her as just as the goddess. We're not looking at her just as the X-Man. We're actually digging down and seeing who Storm is as a person. This is where it actually is getting very fascinating. Because of the fact that we're looking at her as a person, we're seeing her have vulnerabilities, moments of weakness, moments being sad, moments even being happy, moments being angry. She's actually she's having emotions. She's just finding moments to enjoy herself. We're getting a little bit more of a history like we saw in Storm 4. And when I actually also mean vulnerable, we literally have her dying in the first couple of issues. We see her being incredibly anxious in situations. He's taking a deep breath because she's nervous about something. So it's actually I actually find it more fascinating. In fact, this is the stuff I'm more interested in. See, when the Eternal Storm was like being revealed, being built up, I won't lie, I wasn't 100% interested. I thought it was cool, but honestly, I was actually more looking forward to what would happen after, get back to the Storm Sanctuary, see what's going to happen there. But then he brought on the big twist. This is where it really gets interesting. Storm wasn't in control of the Eternal Storm. And I really should have actually seen this because Murewa actually did say that while Storm is the Eternal Storm isn't always Storm. So she was going to be a host, like it was going to be like a host. It was going to be its own force. These type of scenarios, it was almost like when the Phoenix takes a host. So then, when I first saw it, I feel like he mentioned it. I cannot remember. I feel like it was on a different podcast. It was on a different YouTube channel. He brought it up, and it did pique my interest a little bit, but something just wasn't clicking. So now seeing it what it is, it's spurring ideas in my head, and it's getting me far more interested because I don't like. I'm interested in what she can do when she's the Eternal Storm, but at the same time, it's not what I'm interested in. What I am interested in, especially after what we see, is her reaction to being the Eternal Storm. So, the events in the comic. We start off with literally the Big Bang, the creation of eternity and infinity lying within him. So when he was introducing and talking about Oblivion being the villain to the Eternal Storm, it's Oblivion. We were thinking he was going to be a malicious, evil, unreasonable being. He was going to just be out destroying because he's Oblivion. He wants to create the void. He wants to make nothingness. He hates everything that exists because he is the absence of existence. So that's where we all thought it was going. But then we reveal that the fact was, as he's saying in this, every great artist steals. The idea behind that is that, like, to create something great, you can't have it's impossible to have an original idea, or it's just about taking, and that's what eternity does. He continuously takes. He's growing. He's expanding. He's making more, and the void outside him that is Oblivion is getting smaller. He's having less space. That includes less space to have his sister, which is death. And the fact is, he does have a connection to death. He has an emotional connection to death. It's his sister. And here's where it gets tricky. Because he can't house death, he has to give death to eternity. Eternity now has to house death. So that's how we end up with death in our universe. How about that? But then it comes to the point he wants her back, simply because he misses her. Like, he just wants his sister back. And this is where it really gets... It's where the story's really coming in. Eternity's a jerk. Everyone was going on about the Eternal Storm and Storm's connection to eternity and the power and the connection to the grand cosmic hierarchy, and myself included, didn't look at eternity himself. Like, the thing with cosmic beings, they're just like eternity, like Oblivion, death, infinity, Queen of Nevers, what's the other one's name? The Griever. They're just dedicated to what they represent. They're neither good nor evil, but they also lack the moral understanding of their situations, of like what they could do, how it could harm someone else. They're essentially all white-collar criminals. They do what they do and expect everyone else to go along with them. Bunch of... Oh. So, Eternity doesn't care about the fact he's causing Oblivion misery. And he's just saying, okay, if you want death, then take her. And Death's like, he can't just take her. And Death's like, well, what am I supposed to do about it? The relationship between Death no, not death. The relationship between Oblivion and Eternity isn't that dissimilar from actual siblings, especially when you got one that's like the spoiled, favored one, and the one that just keeps losing everything, despite the fact all he wants to do is just really exist. So that's the main issue. Like, this is what, like, Murewa is taking us for a ride. We made all these assumptions. We figured that it was going to be similar to Ewing's, and that Storm was going to have this grand moment and become a great being. But we're not getting that. This is where I'm actually finding it fascinating. Because then we come back to Storm. First of all, we find out her villain isn't that bad of a guy. He wants his sister back, and he's taking a big risk to get her back. He's feeling the emotions. He's crying, for crying out loud. And then we come back to Storm. So we all thought that I thought that it was going to be like this big power up. She now has the blessing of eternity and has access to the grand cosmic scheme. And then suddenly she's actually playing host to some being. The Eternal Storm is another being that's taken possession of her body. And if you don't know Storm, this is the worst thing you can do to her. Very few characters, probably no other characters. Oh, what's the word? Let's just go with it. Let's just say loves their freedom more than Storm. Storm is Storm is like the actual representation of freedom itself. She loves flying because it makes her feel unrestricted. She likes wearing loose clothing because she likes having her body feel free. She like that's why in a lot of comics, up until the 2000s, even post, she's actually has the habits of a nudist. She likes her body feeling free. She loves freedom. So losing her autonomy like that, having her body taken over against her will, it's the worst thing you can do to somebody like that. It's one of the worst things you could do to somebody, period. But to somebody like Storm, it's going to be very difficult to recover from that. But and as well, so that's why you know that Murewa gets Storm. He's not just giving her power; he's also giving her reasons to have contempt for the power, to question it, to think, do I want this? To show the bigger complications of it all. He wants more feeling and meaning into everything he does. And we're getting so much of that. Because he even reminds us, like, he's showing us how cool it is that she has all this power. She condenses a god and swallows it. Power. She wipes out all these magical clones of Doctor Doom, one of the most powerful beings, especially now as Sorcerer Supreme, example of power again. But then we go into we meet up with the real Doom. He's just sitting, he's just chilling, he's enjoying his meal, because unlike last time, now he can actually finish his dinner. And we really see where Storm really is. The Eternal Storm was going to destroy Doom because she found him insulting in a way. Someone that needs to die. But Storm wouldn't allow it. Storm doesn't like killing. She might do it if it's necessary, but I don't 100% know that part, but she doesn't like killing. She doesn't want to kill people. She respects life. She loves life. So the idea of snuffing it out, even someone like Doom, is just horrible to her. In fact, it's one of those deals, right? I've seen a lot of people say, why don't heroes kill more? Like, they should get rid of this guy, get rid of this guy. And it's always like, a lot of times when writers are trying to give them reasons, they come up with, like, the moral code, they come up with, big philosophical reasons. But no one really taught, like, it's very rare you actually see the scenario what, I just don't want to kill people. I don't like killing. It doesn't make me feel good. It makes me feel horrible, and it makes me feel like I'm something that I don't want to be. I don't want to do. That's something I'm seeing in this book. That's something I'm seeing in Exceptional X-Men with Kitty Pryde. Like, I keep seeing people say, so what? She just killed all these people. They were bigots anyway. They were genocidal maniacs anyway. But she still killed them. It doesn't matter who she killed. She committed the act of killing them, and she doesn't like that. She didn't like being that person. That's the problem. That's why she feels bad. It's not about. It's just the general fact she killed, because she promised herself she wasn't going to do that when she was doing the whole ninja thing. She didn't want to be that. She didn't want to be a killer. She doesn't want to be that person, but she went and be that person, and it doesn't make her feel good. It doesn't make her feel free. It doesn't make her feel anything. She's just bad. It's really sometimes just that simple. And that's pretty much what we're getting with Storm here. She doesn't want to kill people. It's so against who she is as a person that she won't allow this grand cosmic being to take Doom's life. This is her fighting against someone so powerful. This is even a greater show of strength than what she could actually have as the Eternal Storm. This is where it's going to get fascinating. We're not actually talking about Storm being the Eternal Storm. It's more likely that we're going to have Storm versus the Eternal Storm. This is a powerful person fighting against the idea of power that she might actually feel a connection with. This is going forward, there's going to be so much meaning, so much subcontext, so much, what's the opposite, just regular context. There's going to be a lot to digest, and I'm not just talking about Egon. So we know the stakes, there is a lot of emotion here, and then we get to this part of the end. It's so simple, and it's just devastating. We see the absolute trauma of what just happened. Let's really break down what happened to Storm at this dinner. For starters, she was actually having a nice time. She was enjoying herself a little bit. She was enjoying the food that Doom was giving her. It was reminding her of her father's gumbo. It was making her very happy and very nostalgic. And then everything started going downhill. Then Doom being Doom, he kind of spoiled it. Bought out the chef, was going to kill him, because he does that. And it caused the whole commotion. So that was just a big argument. And then body just pierced by Egon. Storm experienced her first ever true death. Like, we've had this discussion, we've had all those other situations when he died in the last era, but this is her truest death. Her body's punctured. There's no time travel here. There's no conceptual arguments, metaphysical arguments, whatever the hell that was. She's dead. Body pierced, lungs punctured, bones broken. She's gone, and then she does have this emotional moment. This is a good moment between her and her dad. It makes her feel young again. It makes her feel happy that she hasn't felt in a long time, but she has to give it up. That would hurt. Then she has her autonomy taken from her. Her body. She loses control and almost did something she vowed not to do. This was a traumatic night for her. This is Storm experiencing pain that she has never experienced before. And it's amazing the type of writing we're getting here. It is just huge. And I'm so looking forward to more. Because next issue, she has to deal with bloody Xavier. That's the last person you want to deal with when you go through a heavy trauma like that. Because he's probably going to try and fix it or something. Or trying to pry because he thinks it's his business. He's a fucking telepath. Never trust a telepath unless it's Karma. Okay? Karma is the best telepath. If you're going to trust a telepath, it's always Karma. Xuan. Always trust her. She's the good one. The rest of them suck. And I'm saying that under the assumption that Danny Moonstar isn't a telepath. I can never remember that part. I feel like she isn't. That one's always a bit up in the air. I don't know. Anyway, so she's gonna be having a hard time. This is probably one of the most traumatic moments of her life in recent years for her. I even personally theorize that. So one of the Storm's biggest parts is that she was never really afraid of dying. She wasn't afraid of death. That was one of her biggest selling points during the Krakoan era, especially during that dance with death. Like Duggan, Ewing, other writers, they were really trying to make showing her having a sense of strength and this is a badass woman by saying, I don't fear death. I have never really gotten that. That is not a show of strength to me. That's just a show of ignorance. A show of just not caring because there are things about death you're allowed to be afraid of. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you a person. I think that's actually, and here's the thing. I think that's where Murewas going. He's actually putting the fear of death in her. This is her first true experience with death. This isn't slow. It wasn't something of a choice. She reacted and she got killed. The suddenness of it, the complete lack of control she had in it, she really realized how terrifying death is actually going to be. One of my biggest proofs is the recent design reveal of her wearing armor, the vibranium armor. And, well, no one's called me crazy on it, but it is actually a fair call. Storm isn't really the one to wear armor. Like, I've never really seen her wear armor. What if she's wearing it because she now doesn't feel safe? She feels vulnerable. This is what Murray was doing. He's bringing out vulnerability in her. She's now experienced death. And she's experienced coming back, and that's a very unpleasant experience. There's other people that actually share those kinds of experiences that I think would be good. I hope that they could interact. Characters like any of the Hulks, especially after Ewing's Immortal Hulk series, where they experienced the Green Door. It's very similar to that. And I really feel like this is a much more interesting way for Storm to go. So while Murewa is definitely playing with her being a grand cosmic being with someone like Eternity, he's also the absolute core of his story is the absolute humanity of Storm. And that's where I really think that's like the book's strongest point. That's why it's a very good book. That's why it's actually a very good book. We're doing the grand cosmic stuff, but it's the humanity, like grand cosmic, grand godliness, but it's humanity at its absolute core. And he's doing that beautifully. I've always felt Murewa's writing could be considered similar to, like, you're reading a mythological story. Like, you're reading the stories of Zeus or the stories of, like, Thor's and all that. But it's just these fictional characters. He's great at doing that. I am so excited for what happens next. I feel like we're not going to do the whole Oblivion thing just yet. We're going to do a couple of things. These aren't tie-ins. This is going to be Storm reacting to this just most traumatic thing that she's gone through in a very long time. I don't think she's going to get over it. I think she's going to start feeling a little bit nervous, a little bit paranoid, scared. She's going to start twitching. She's going to have PTSD a little bit. She just came back from the dead after experiencing a gruesome death. And then her resurrection was less than preferable. This is a good book. Murewa is a great writer. And I am so excited to see where he takes this. And I'm just going to say this. Can we please have a crossover with the freaking Fantastic Four, okay? You've used Doom for this big part. You're saying that one of your biggest inspiration was coming from a Fantastic Four book. I'm feeling a little owed, okay? A little owed. Give us a little bit of Fantastic Four in the book. They're family, okay? The last time she actually did a proper team up with the Four, she said, we should do this more often. I'm talking about in Slot's run. There wasn't a lot I want to bring over from that run, but that was actually a good moment. And I really still don't like what happened in X and 4. I want to talk about that. I don't like that. It's just. The point is, let's get a little F4 in it. Okay, so. Definitely pick up the next Storm book. Keep its momentum going. We've already lost some of the X books. X-Force got cancelled. Nyx got cancelled. I can't remember what the third one that got cancelled. I remember I don't care about that one. That's right, it's X-Force. Those are my two bad ones. No, X Factor. Damn it, I did it again. Damn it. Anyway, so X-Force, X Factor, and Nyx are gone. I'm only crying about X-Force. That was a good one. So we can't let that happen with Storm. There is too much good stuff. This is one of the most heaviest books. It's literally it's literally one of Marvel's top books. Its biggest contenders are literally Ryan's stuff, like both Fantastic Four these days, as well as the One World Under Doom. It's just those are the ones with the most substance coming out of Marvel right now. So we got to keep the momentum on them going. Cool. Right. So wrapping up. I think Storm's nervous. I think she's afraid now. Egon put the fear of God in her. Egon put the fear of death in her. And Eternity put the fear of coming back to life in her. She just went through a very traumatic event, and she's going to be nervous. She's going to be starting flinching. She's going to be taking deep breaths. She's going to have some anxiety. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how she's going to overcome that. So, if you like the video, leave a like and subscribe. If you want to talk about anything, leave a comment in the section below, and I'll see if I can get to you. And I'm really excited to talk about, because I'm always excited to talk about these videos. I'm always so excited to talk about the comics. In fact, probably next time, I might even end up putting my Twitter profile into my account, so you can even follow me there, and we could probably chat somewhere there. Okay? Cool. So, see you guys later. Right? Once again, bye!